This is the Bacardi bottling plant in Jacksonville, Florida. It's August 16th, 2012, at 4:30 p.m. What you're seeing here is a palletizer, a machine that packs and stacks cases of rum onto a pallet. The man you see here operates the palletizer. He's been cleaning the machine because bottles often break in the cases, and the rum leaks on the conveyor belt, making it sticky. When this happens, the cases then crash into each other, and bottles fall to the ground. This has been happening for a couple of years at Bacardi, and it hasn't been fixed. As the operator walks away, cases start coming down the line very quickly and crashing into each other. He hits the emergency stop button. Now, what's supposed to happen next is operators need to put a lock on the machine to prevent somebody from pushing the start button while someone else is inside. Under the machine, there's a lot of shattered glass as seen in these photos. There's also another emergency stop button and some bars that you can put underneath the platform to keep it from falling. But employees rarely did this for fear of slowing down production. The man in the orange vest is Dave Davis. He's a temp worker on his first day on any job in his entire life. In fact, his shift started just an hour and a half ago when he sent this photo to his fiancée. The operator points down below and tells Davis to sweep up the glass under the machine. Look at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You'll see Davis go underneath the palletizer to sweep up the glass. A few minutes later, Davis goes back upstairs to ask a question. The man in the white shirt, who's a supervisor, told police he had told Davis to sit by the side, but others heard him tell Davis to simply go get some gloves. Davis goes back downstairs underneath the machine. The supervisor and operator finish cleaning the conveyor rollers above Davis. They close the gate and turn on the machine. Cases come down the line, they're pushed into a square, and the platform goes down. Then they hear a yell. They see that Davis has been crushed by the machine. They hit the stop button. The palletizer operator is trying to manually raise the platform off Davis, but it's not working. The supervisor radios for someone to call 911. Here you'll see a worker pass down a pry bar to see if they can lift up the platform. There were some 60 cases weighing about 2,000 pounds on the platform when it went down. First responders got there within minutes, but it was already too late. The weight of the machine had killed Davis.
So that was an unfortunate example of when lockout tagout isn't performed properly. And I've got a demonstration video from a company that I really trust and go to as experts for lockout tagout application.
Your machines, they keep your employees busy and your business humming, vital to your everyday production. And without proper machine maintenance, things can come to a grinding halt. But maintenance comes with risk. Maintaining equipment puts employees in harm's way for accidental startup or energization of equipment if all hazardous energy sources are not properly isolated and controlled. It's what Regulation 1910.147 is all about. With nearly 10% of all serious workplace accidents occurring due to a lack of controlling hazardous energy, having a solid lockout-tagout program is the only way to keep employees safe and your business compliant. While the work to get there can be daunting, you have an expert you can rely on. Get the confidence.
I just noticed something, you guys. I think this guy right here, his name is John. I think he's a former student of mine. I know I've got students working everywhere, but I just think that's kind of interesting. I just noticed it now.
You need knowing Brady offers what competitors don't. More than 30 years experience in safety compliance. No matter where you are in your lockout-tagout safety needs, we can help. Just devices, a start-to-finish lockout-tagout solution, or anywhere in between. Our industry experts create a sustainable and compliant safety program that works for you and your employees, complete with services, software, and devices. When you want the highest standard, look no further than Brady Safety Services. You can count on our in-house team of field engineers to bring industry-leading knowledge, experience, and expertise to your business. From employee training to supporting your periodic inspections, and from creating your visual procedures to developing a one-of-a-kind lockout solution. Brady's Lockout-Tagout service offering brings you the support and flexibility to create your complete safety picture. Our best-in-class Link 360 safety software allows you to easily write, store, and manage your visual lockout processes and procedures in a sustainable way. The innovation doesn't stop there. You get the right tool for the job. Knowing Brady's state-of-the-art devices are engineered to lock out any type of equipment. And because we know efficiency is key to your everyday responsibilities, you'll appreciate Brady's exclusive Safe Key Lockout padlocks with the smart color-matched key. One padlock, one person, one key means you can lock it out with confidence and easily find the right key when you're ready to power things up again. Put the complete lockout solution in play. Every step of the way, Brady will work with you to create a custom solution for your unique business situation. Our services, devices, and software will ensure you keep your business humming every single day. Find out more about Brady's complete lockout tagout solutions today.
Okay, so let's get into this preview here, and I've got actually some of my own work built into here too. So we're going to talk about lockout tagout. What's interesting is we're really limiting it to one particular standard, and that's 1910-147. Some of you may say, well, geez, we've been covering entire sections for a lecture. Why dedicate so much to just one standard? Lockout tagout is a performance standard, which means OSHA basically says, well, these are the things we want you to do, but you have to prove it to us that this stuff is effective. I actually wish they had more performance related standard or performance judged or based standards, but this is one of them. And I think it's critical because a lot of our interns do lockout tagout, a lot of them. For the last couple semesters, for the last year, I've had a student working part-time at a company in Whitewater using Brady's software system to review and update all their lockout tagout procedures because one of their other sites outside of Whitewater was cited, and so they're trying to mitigate what could be a repeat or failure to abate citation. It's difficult to separate the safeguarding or machine issues away from the lockout tagout. So I'm just kind of reviewing from last time. These were the same numbers, machine related, contact with object, amputations, all that stuff kind of follows. They're under the same sort of guys. What's interesting is that maybe I should have brought up the struck by issues. Struck by tends to be more associated with lockout tagout because a person is inside of a machine when it energizes, and then the machine does what it's supposed to be doing to the product, to the person. Whereas when people defeat a safeguard, we call that caught in, but maybe it could be struck by as well. So I'll make sure that there are no quiz questions related to the number in the top 10 because of that sort of But it's the same with, so I still have machine in here. I'm not going to search lockout tagout. This is what's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and that is it is number 3 on the list. I mean, we had fall protection before, but that's really for construction. But this is the first time we've had a really high one here. What's interesting is I didn't see this right away. And then I went to this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that should be in the top 10. Did they mess up? And then I'm like, oh, I realized my mistake. And so I went back and highlighted it. So lots of citations, lots of inspections, lots of penalty. That's the highest one we've had so far, just under 20 million. Here is the lockout tagout or LOTO main page, safety and health topics page. A lot of people use this as a reference. Here's some of the lockout tagout concepts. You know, it has to be customized. That's one thing is why it's a performance standard. It has to be customized to the equipment you have. You should have an individualized plan for each piece of equipment, unless that equipment can be de-energized by unplugging it, because you should still possibly put a cover over the plug and lock it and have the key. But as long as you could put the plug in your pocket, that's considered lockout tagout for something that can be unplugged. And if electricity is the only source of energy. What do we mean by energy? So we always think electrical, that hey, we'll flip the switch, turn off the circuit, or hit the circuit breaker, whatever it might be, And if we cover it and lock it, then people cannot turn on the machine. What becomes difficult is with older buildings, they'll have multiple machines on the same circuit. And so to turn off the circuit breaker would be to shut off all the machines. So in that case, what you have to do is you have to hire a licensed electrician to go in and build sub-panels so that each piece of equipment can be energized individually. But companies don't always want to pay to have that done. That's one great solution. There's also hydraulic, which is fluid pressure. There's mechanical movement, such as a flywheel, for a like a power press. Pneumatic is compressed air. Thermal is obviously heat. People might say, what is chemical? But here's the thing. I once wrote an OSHA citation for a chemical lockout tagout because what happened was at a hotel in St. Paul, Minnesota, after a holiday weekend, the hotel manager came in and noticed that the pool was very kind of cloudy. But unfortunately, their maintenance person was off. So they called in a pool expert to fix it, right? And so what they did is they saw that it was cloudy. So okay, so we have to shock the system with chlorine. And so they opened the tower and they just threw in the pellets. And before they could finish twisting the cap back on, it blew off because of a chemical reaction. What nobody knew was that the person who normally takes care of the pool was off on vacation. But before they left, they initiated a descaling process, which is to fill the tower with an acid. And it's not like hydrochloric. It's, I can't remember the name. It's a weaker version of hydrochloric to descale. But the thing is, they should have locked and tagged it out. They should have put an indication that there was an acid in there, and they didn't. And so whoever was going to put in chlorine was obviously going to react to it. And so the hotel received a citation for not having a procedure for if somebody was to put during the descaling process. And I had to argue this with their insurer, but it was right. It was a chemical lockout tagout. Man, that was a long story. Here's something else I did. Okay, so I apologize for this picture here. This is not what actually happened. This is one I found online because I was trying to get people's attention because they kept violating the instruction, and that is the lockout tagout for the taper machine was if the piece of tape does not return to its original position or misfires, you have to turn this knob, which isolates the pneumatic energy because that was the only source of energy. See, here's the warning sign right here. There's a thing right here too. Once it's isolated and you open the side container, you should be able to use the scissors or tongs we provided to reset the taper, and then you close it and turn it back on. If you don't do that, you have a chance of your finger getting cut up. And we had a few of these incidents, but they didn't look this bad. I was trying to get their attention. But it kept happening. And so what we did is I did a safety stand down. And we went into the shop and we opened up this thing, and I was not comfortable with it. Turns out the blade is located in this orange container right here. Sometimes it fails open, so the blade is out. So if a person was to reach their hand in, they could easily cut their finger. It was very, very sharp. It was like a serrated blade. But here's the other thing too, is some people were reaching in when they shouldn't have, and they were activating it. And so here was the procedure. Turn off the air. Open it up, and then we designed in-house this cover. This cover, once set in place, and there's a magnet on there, you can reach your hand in. I would let my kids reach their hand into this machine. We still don't want people reaching their hand in, but this would absorb if it was to fire, but it definitely actually protected it. So with this in place, you actually couldn't even close the cover anymore, which that in itself would leave it locked out and tagged out, and we did provide tongs as well. But I wouldn't, what I told them is, they can use tongs and everything, but this was protective enough. Here's the other thing too. Workers, the reason they weren't following my instructions or my plan is because they were paid per box they filled. And when this was failing, it was quicker just to reach their hand in and reset it. So what I did is I got management to agree to paying them to reset this. in order to keep it going, so they could still make their pay rate for production, even though the boxes weren't complete. But here's the other thing too, is this whole process allowed the engineers to understand that maybe this machine needs to be set up a different way so it didn't fail as much. And turns out we were actually able to get it so that once we did all this work and we changed the production rules and the engineers reset this, they haven't had a single laceration because of this piece of equipment since. And there was more than one of these. I think there was 8 of them in the plant. And it was a new version of something that came into play while I was there. So fixed it. We fixed the issue using lockout tagout, but it wasn't just simply the procedure, it was also enforcing the procedure. And we had to come up with our own unique device to ensure that people weren't hurt. So that was my experience. Brady is the #1 resource. You saw the video. They have, they have the system where you go in, you go out, you take pictures, you document things, you put tags, colored tags on things. The idea is someone with a 6th grade education should be able to follow this plan and successfully lock and tag. And what lock and tag really means is isolate and de-energize is really what it's about. You are isolating the energy so it's no longer going to the machine, and then you're testing it to make sure it doesn't have any stored energy in it. Now, what if it has potential energy? What if there is a boom or something that could fall down on somebody? Well, then you block it. You put in a physical block and you set whatever the potential energy is on top of it so that people can work and whatever. Now, there is concern sometimes when they do maintenance, and this is a maintenance based standard or program, that what if they need the power on in order to adjust something? Well, then there needs to be a sub-program built into the machine so that only that subsystem operates and it doesn't fully activate the entire machine, and that there is no way for workers to put their hands or body parts in a position that could absorb the energy of the subsystem. A lot of companies don't like that. And like an e-stop is not an appropriate lockout tagout. It's not. You actually have to have the sources isolated, and energy needs to be released. You have to test that it has been isolated before you go into the machine and do any maintenance or cleaning or whatever it might be. So go ahead and watch the old lecture video. I also provided a bunch of, Brady lockout tagout videos for you. It's more FYI, I just wanted you to see it. But the web links, PDFs, and things like that, it's all about understanding the importance of lockout tagout, that it has to be customized. It's a performance-based standard. That's one thing I really want you to take away. All right, thank you.